Say we're live.
Yes.
Cool. Hi, YouTube.
Oh, hello. Your video meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
Excellent.
Well, I'm going to record then.
Oh, yeah, I haven't even opened up Audacity yet.
Well, let me know and then we can do it.
Yeah.
This is going to be a back pain job. I've got no chair. This is the third world problem. Basically, I've got first world problem. I've got no chair because I've packed it all away because I'm leaving Dublin.
Woohoo! Fun. Right, that's up. Don't forget to check your input to make sure you're on the correct input.
Oh, fuck knows.
I've just updated
Yeah.
Audacity because
Nice.
because I'm producing Andrew's Ocean podcast. He's starting an Ocean Theatre. Yeah, he's starting an Ocean Theatre podcast. The first episode's just finished now, but he sent me an Audacity file, but the file wouldn't work on my version of Audacity, so I had to update it. And now, like, some of the features have changed, so I'm just figuring it out. It is easier to edit now, I have to say.
All right. What's the what's the podcast about?
It's just about Ocean. It's just about Ocean Theatre. It's like a 10-minute podcast once a week, just with them like talking about the show, the upcoming show, and
Which
generally
is
it'll be two kids.
My brain's gonna work this one out. Which is My Fair Lady.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's quite funny actually. Actually, as I'm sharing the audio, we could do a little premiere of this for our wonderful YouTube audience, which no one's currently on the live stream. But
I'm not even on the live stream.
are you not? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just me then. We've got 2 likes though.
How have we got 2 likes?
I don't know. One of them's me. I always like it just to get things moving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How's that go out for you?
Yeah. So have a listen to this. This is the first draft or the second draft. Not started yet. Come on, load.
Load me.
Welcome to the first podcast from Ocean Theatre Company. We have just started our pre-production for our April 2022 production of My Fair Lady. In this episode, we hear 2 of the company, Yasmin and Bertie, who played Brit and Oz in our Reach production of We Will Rock You. They discuss how they feel about going from Rock You to a very different style of show in My Fair Lady. They talk about the upcoming audition, the different styles of My Fair Lady as compared to We Will Rock You, and what they're looking forward to. Oh, and the costumes, and having to waltz.
Hi, I'm Yasmin.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Bertie.
Yasmin.
And we played
Hi,
Brit.
Bertie.
I was gonna say Brit and Oz, and then Brit came out. Start again. Hi, I'm Yasmin.
Hi, I'm Bertie.
And we played Brit and Oz in We Will Rock You.
Yeah, you get the message.
Yeah.
It's basically this one's only about 6 minutes. This one, but we're gonna aim for about 10 minutes in future. But this was the first one, so yeah, it's all right. So yeah, I'm what was I getting at? Yes, so that's why I had to update Audacity because I couldn't play the files that.
Yeah.
he's,
This has gone down some weird tangent.
Yeah.
Not...
So anyone watching the live stream retrospectively, so anyone watching the YouTube video afterwards, I apologise for that. If you're not into musical theatre in Surrey, you're not gonna get that at all.
Surrey.
Yeah.
Well, are they in Surrey now?
Well, it's Ascot. That's Surrey, isn't it?
There's Berkshire, you twaz.
It's not Berkshire,
Yes, it is.
is it?
The Royal Borough of Berkshire.
Yeah, but I thought that was classed as Surrey because it's under SL.
I'm gonna give you a bloody map.
Well, you're probably right. You're probably right. I don't know geography at all, but I thought
yeah, we've worked that one out.
Yeah, I thought it came down as Surrey because it was under the SL postcode.
And even at SL is Berkshire.
Well, no, because it's
GU
like Windsor...
is Guildford. GU is Surrey.
Ah, yes, yeah.
As in Guildford.
See, I'm thinking
or
everything.
RH, Red Hill.
Yeah, I'm thinking everything kind of just this side of Crowthorne comes under Surrey, but it doesn't, does it? Because you've got Guildford starts like a mile away from my house, or Guildford area starts a mile away from my house.
Okay, I give you that.
But and you also go into Hampshire if you go a mile in the other direction.
Yes, I'll give you that. But Ascot is definitely in Berkshire.
Okay, fair enough. That's
Ascot is, as according to Wikipedia, Ascot is a town in the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead in Berkshire, England. It is 6 miles south of Windsor, 4 miles east of somewhere. Is it 4 miles east of Slough? No. 4 miles east of Egham?
I don't know. Whatever. It's fine.
4 miles east of Bracknell. And 25 miles west of London. It's most notable for the Ascot Royal Racecourse, home of Royal Ascot beating. And reportedly the 13th most expensive town in England. Only 13th. I thought that'd be higher.
Well, you've got London, and you've got boroughs of London.
Yeah, I suppose.
So, yeah.
I'm going to have to Google most expensive towns in the UK now.
But not now.
Yeah.
Let's get into... Should we get into the podcast?
No!
Oh, right. I need to record. Tell me when you're recording.
Recording now. There we go.
I reckon that's pretty much bang on. That'll cut down my editing time.
Okay. Hang on. According to the Mirror.
You've got a little buzz on your microphone whenever you speak.
Have I?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Is it still got buzz?
It seems okay now.
You sure? I've just turned the mic around. According to the Mirror, let's see. According to Winchester. Who lives in Winchester? If you live in Winchester, you live in the most expensive town. Number 1 is Winchester. Number 2 is Oxford. Number 3 is Virginia Water.
Of course it is.
Number 4, Bath. Number 5, Chichester. Number 6, Cambridge. Number 7, Brighton and Hove. And I seem to have run out of places. Right? Hang on. Number 7, Brighton Hove. And then number 8, London. Number 9, St. Albans. And number 10, Chelmsford. Well, there you go. You learn something new every day.
Good to know. Cool. Okay. Right. Should we get into the podcast?
Yeah, let me get open the diary.
Have you got an opening gambit?
Yes.
Okay.
It's quite offensive, so...
Oh, that's good. That's fine.
Well, I don't know if it's probably not offensive to you.
Well, let's just get this right. We're probably going to demonetize this episode like straight away within 30 seconds, so it's fine. Right, I'm going to start the title sequence.
Why are we demonetizing it? Do we monetize it anyway?
Future monetization will be wrecked.
2 cars in 1 corner, and the Brits are lighting
We need to
up
update this.
I know, you say this every week.
When I say we,
yeah, you mean me.
yeah.
I'll update it for next season with the changes we've discussed.
Oh God! Michael Schumacher hits David.
I need to ask you actually about the Glock thing. I need to ask you about that later on. Remind me to ask you about that.
I mean, I've got no idea, but go on.
I'll do it afterwards.
You're really asking the wrong person. Do afterwards what? Big one!
Welcome to the Monkeyseat, the podcast that doesn't even know why it's wrong, so it's just going to carry on being wrong. My name is Tom.
And I'm Carl, who'd like to offer you second place, with George from Grid Talk in third, and Tom from Everything F1 in taking pole. Is that okay? Just come back to me in a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Banker. I'm glad I didn't go for my Deal or No Deal reference. We are a fully independent podcast hosted by 2 opinionated friends who like to put the world to rights.
Yeah, I just have called Tom from Everything F1 Ocon. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Anyway, you can find us on all major podcasting platforms by searching for the Monkeyseat podcast.
You can get in touch with us by leaving us a 5-star review to get a shout out on our show, or you can visit monkeyseatpod.com to support us with cold hard cash.
We're on the socials at Monkeyseat Pod to get in touch to tell us why we're wrong or right or whatever you actually want to tell us.
And we would like to once again acknowledge the great work of our partner charity Furballs Rescue, who are continuing to do great work rehabbing abandoned cats, and they need funding far more than we do. So head to furballsrescue.org to see how you can help.
Yay.
Right. Yay.
Hello. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm in pain.
Why are you in pain? You've become an old man all of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden. well, I don't turn 40.
You've hit 40.
No, I don't turn 40 for another 3.5 weeks yet, and already it's.
I thought you already were 40.
No,
I'm so confused.
January, I'm 40.
Oh shit.
So yeah,
like
3.5 weeks. Or
well,
something.
I would come and visit in the UK, but we're banned from moving anywhere again.
Yeah.
We can't. We're all in COVID lockdown, and we might as well be in a COVID lockdown again. Like we sort of are over here. But this is my last week in Dublin. Last day in Dublin. Actually, I leave Dublin tomorrow, or Wicklow, and back home to Kerry for a long while. I hope. But we should see what goes on there.
You can see how the house is going. How is the house going?
It's going. It's going. The walls are being built, and we've got walls and things now. So.
Oh wow! Need to see some pictures.
Yes, I will send you some. I don't have any at the moment. But if you follow my Instagram, what is it? I can't remember. Operation Renovation 2020.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
There you go. Operation. You can see lots of pictures of my house slowly going up.
Look at you being all social media.
I know. I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at this.
I'm particularly crap at it as well. So don't worry.
Yeah, which is bad for two people that run a podcast. We should be better. We should be better.
This is probably why we haven't been picked up by all the the big podcast gurus and stuff, and because we just don't do social media good. That'll be why. Yes, that'll be the reason why.
Yeah, that's definitely the reason
because
why.
Of our amazing informed content that we bring you every week.
Well, you're moonlighting on other shows too much anyway, so.
Yeah, so this is what I'm currently involved in 3 podcasts. And one of them I'm not actually, I'm just producing, and as anyone on the live stream would see, gave a sneak preview to on the live stream, and obviously I'm on Grid Talk quite a lot. Hosted my first show on Grid Talk at the weekend, which was fun. I got to
I didn't listen to because I'm that friend.
Got to do my podcasting singing debut and was very out of tune singing 12 Days of Christmas.
I heard about that.
And I've obviously done a few guest podcasts as well, like a DNF1 podcast is one I've been on a few times, and Grip Strip Pod, I've been on Everything F1, I've been on as well. All good podcasts, actually. Give them a listen. Everything F1 are great. They get lots of good guests on. Adam, who hosts Adam and Courtney, who hosts DNF1, they're very good as well. They're very knowledgeable people, so I recommend giving them a listen.
Makes a difference for me.
And Phil on GSP, if you're into American motorsport and NASCAR and all that kind of stuff, as well as Formula One, they cover that as well. So give them
they're a lot better than we are. Mostly because they're American.
Yeah, but they're better at American stuff. I would say
I feel like we're Downton Abbey. I've been watching Downton Abbey. I feel we're very much Downton Abbey, the English people that all the Americans love.
I have not been watching Downton Abbey, although I did go to the cinema for the first time in 2 years the other day.
To watch?
We saw... What did we see? I've forgotten already. Oh, we saw Bond.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. But then, a couple of days later, I went again. I went with Emily, and we saw House of Gucci.
Oh, is that any good?
It's all right. It's okay.
Again, why choose Jared Leto as a fat old man? I can't quite work that one out.
He wasn't a fat old man.
Yeah, he is.
I think so. He was the guy...
No, Jared Leto's the fat old man.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it was. I thought he was.
It's not going to come up, is it?
Oh,
going to show you. Yeah, I'm sure he's the fat old man. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen it yet.
I think you are wrong.
I think that's a TV film that I'm going to watch. Who's the fat old man then? Or fat middle-aged man?
Well, there's a couple. There's quite a few actually, but yeah, it's all about Italians.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and then we've got an English lad. English Jeremy Irons, American Jared Leto. Yeah, good. Lady Gaga, American. Yeah, very good.
Adam Driver,
American.
Yeah,
I think he's American. Maybe even be Canadian. Don't know.
It's probably somewhere around there.
Somewhere that side.
Yeah. Anyway, so right, should we talk about Formula One then?
Oh, where do we start with this farcical farce?
Well, should we start with the 2-minute challenge?
Well, yeah, but I'd like to quickly talk about the F2 quickly.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
That was a mad, sort of weird crash at the beginning, and it just sums up how
mad. On the feature race, yeah?
Yes.
Because there were 2 other races.
Piquet and...
it was Fittipaldi and Pourchaire.
Pourchaire, that was it.
Fittipaldi and Pourchaire.
Yeah.
Do
we know how they are?
Yeah, good to hear that Enzo Fittipaldi, he's got a broken heel.
All right.
And Pourchaire has got minor injuries. So I imagine Fittipaldi will be out of the last race, and Pourchaire is unsure at the moment. But but they're both okay. They're both going to make full recoveries, and they'll both be back strong next season. So
okay, well, I'm glad for that.
That's good.
That was a crazy crash.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like something. There wasn't like
Yeah.
So,
it was.
So did Pourchaire? Was it Pourchaire that went in the back of Fittipaldi?
No, Fittipaldi went in the back of Pourchaire. Pourchaire stalled.
Yes, Pourchaire stalled. And he's got the broken heel.
No, Pourchaire has got minor injuries.
All right, yeah.
Fittipaldi's got the broken.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going into that.
It was scary. I mean, that's how Billy Monger lost his legs.
Yeah.
So, not at a start. It was actually in a racing scenario, so it probably wouldn't have been going quite as fast because it was obviously Pourchaire was it's sort of midfield and Fittipaldi was more towards the back. But yeah, that was marshalling fails. They didn't put enough yellow flags out or any yellow flags out to say, or not on that side of the track. So Fittipaldi had no idea there was a stationary car there. So just flew into the back of him. No one's fault. Similar to Mazepin in the race. He his accident wasn't really his fault either. It's just a hazard of the track and that kind of track and blind corners. But I'm sure we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, well, we feel sorry for Mazepin. That's strange. Anyway, carrying on.
Yeah.
Go on then, let's do the 2-minute challenge. Just remind us of what happened.
Before we do that, I'm just going to cough.
Cough?
I should have muted that, really.
Yeah,
really,
thanks. We're just going to get a cough randomly.
Well, the trouble is, if I mute it on the Zoom, it's not muted on the recording, so I don't see the point.
Okay. As long as you don't see the point, that's fine.
Yeah. Right, okay. Let's do this.
It's the 2-minute challenge.
As the light went out in Saudi Arabia for the first time, all the focus was rightly on the two title protagonists, so in a slight change to normal proceedings, I'm going to do the same. Yes, Ocon narrowly missed out on a podium thanks to Valtteri Sport Bottas, and yes, Tsunoda and Kimi took bites out of Vettel's car. And yes, both Hasses crashed heavily, ending theirs and Russell's race, but aside from that, frankly, nobody really gave a shit, so we'll just get on with it. We were I've balls this one up well and truly. I wouldn't be controversial if I said that missing the battle for third place on the line was not the worst mistake Formula One made all weekend. With Hamilton and Bottas cruising to a 1-2 victory, but a cruel twist of fate if you're a Mercedes fan saw Max inherit the lead with brand new tyres after a red flag. Hamilton made a great restart, making the pass into turn one, but then Verstappen drives clean off the track and virtually stops in front of Hamilton, causing Ocon to somehow pass Hamilton and Max to keep the lead.
He kept the line, that's why.
A red flag followed from Perez crashing, and Noel Edmonds for some reason appears with a red telephone from the 60s and offers Red Bull a demotion to third. This promotes Ocon to the lead of the race, putting Hamilton back on the dirty side of the grid. This allows Max to once again take the lead with the best bit of driving he did all day, putting the car between him and Hamilton.
You mean our driver of the day?
Catches and catches and puts pressure on once again, gets the move done, but once again Verstappen cuts the corner to retake the position. He is then told to give the place to Hamilton, so slows just before the DRS to let him by so he can instantly repass him. Then when Hamilton doesn't play ball, he slams on the brakes as determined by the stewards of actual telemetry, so don't at me, and Hamilton hits the back of him. He lets Hamilton through under instruction again later in the race, but then repasses under DRS in a move that goes unpunished, which by definition is illegal. Finally, the move gets done, but because of all the crap that happened before, in the meantime, he got a 5-second penalty from the original corner cut in turn one anyways, as he took too long to hand the place back. In the end, Hamilton wins comfortably, but the driving standards saw from Verstappen were frankly a disgrace, and I don't blame him, I blame the FIA.
Wow. Where do we even start with this?
Okay, now this may have come across as a little bit British bias, Hamilton-sided, but there is a reason for that, because as I said at the end of the review there, I don't particularly blame Verstappen for his behaviour. I blame the FIA because they've allowed this behaviour to thrive, and their obvious attempt to try...
I don't quite understand where the rules are. If any other person, anyone, right, I don't even know where to start with this. Right, if anyone else, let's start with where do we want to start?
Well, I just wanted to just want to get a point out quickly. The FA have allowed the behaviour to thrive, and they've made obvious attempts to try and not interfere in the title battle, and as a result, it's massively affected the title battle to the point where failing to penalise Verstappen in Brazil led him to actually do the same thing several times this week. And he said in the post-race he didn't understand why he was being punished because he wasn't punished in Brazil. The kid doesn't even know why he's a disgrace. And that's the problem, because the FIA have let him get away with it, and they've got his team boss blowing smoke up his arse, saying how nice he is and how good he is, and that's just racing and that's just Max, and we wouldn't change him. And then you got his thug of a dad, who's taught him to be a bully on track and told him that's okay to be like that because you have been bestowed to be the one to win the world championship for Holland because I was too shit. So I'm just just fed up with this. And again, I don't actually
fed up
blame
with this title
Verstappen.
race.
I'm just fed up with the way that he's racing, to be honest.
I don't know if it's.
I'll come back to this.
I don't think it's Verstappen. I think if anyone else had to give a grid place back, we've seen it with Alonso. We've seen it with Vettel. We've seen it with who else?
Hello, Laura.
I don't even think she's on today.
Hello, Laura.
And I don't think she's on today.
She is.
She is.
That's
Hi, Laura. She was like, I'm not coming on. Okay, so I've just closed my YouTube down. How's how bad I am?
Anyway,
right.
go on.
Anyway, so she's been listening for a while because she's talking about the house. Yeah. So where was I? Oh yeah. So normally you have a lap to give that place back.
3 laps.
3 laps. Well, it seems to be a lot longer than 3 laps on this race to give that lap back.
Which is why he got a penalty in the end.
And then he got a penalty. Okay. But then then it seemed like a long time again. Like, it was just like, well, what's going on with this? Like, and no one knew if he was having to give his penalty back. No one knew. Like, and what was, I don't even know where to start, but what was with the FIA and the deal or no deal moment? Like, what was going on there? Like, how is that even allowed that they can choose where?
Yeah, we don't know, because this FIA team radio thing is new. We don't know if this is the kind of thing that always happens, or if we're only just hearing it for the first time this year. So it might well be that this kind of stuff happens all the time. And to be honest,
well, they didn't seem too shocked by it, did they? Like, the guys on the radio, the engineers didn't seem too shocked by it.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, if you didn't hear that conversation and you saw they went to do the restart, they start lining up on the grid, and all of a sudden Verstappen drops back behind Hamilton and Ocon takes the lead, and they line up on the grid, we'd have then said, "Oh, great decision from the stewards there. Well done. That's good refereeing." But because we heard all of the tit for tat beforehand, and I've only got, I know it was oh, we're going to offer you second place, and then, oh, yes, we'll accept second place, but only if it means that Hamilton's in third. And it's like, no, because Hamilton will be first. Oh, well, where's Ocon? Oh, I forgot about Ocon. If we didn't have any of that, then we'd have thought, what a great decision. That's really good refereeing. But because we had that, it just sounded farcical. But yeah, I mean, I'm still torn about this team radio thing, to be honest. This FIA team radio. I'm not 100% certain I like it, but
I quite like it.
I
quite like the silliness of it.
I'm undecided, but I'm not against it. I'm just not convinced by it at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't get it at all. I do get it. I quite like the thing, but I don't know where the rules are and what this and all these things. It will all just drop. We don't know what's happening, and we don't know the rest of the conversations. And it's Liberty Media playing silly games. I just feel like through all of this, it's just played exactly how everyone wants it. How Liberty Media wants it, which was Hamilton and Max in the final with equal points.
This is what I mean. And it's like the conspiracy theorists will say that first red flag, the safety car comes out, the Mercedes drop in the pits to make their pit stop, and then they throw a red flag to then give Verstappen the lead. Yeah. I don't believe that. I think what's happened is I think they didn't need to do a red flag, but they weren't sure of the condition of the barriers. Safety, they've had 3 or 4 people go into that barrier. They can't continue without that barrier being absolutely 100% kosher. So, because can you imagine if they'd have said, "Oh yeah, we think it's all right," and then somebody else goes into it and then has a bad injury as a result of it, or worse, and it's just not. That you can't do that. You have to make sure it's right. But the red flag period only lasted 8 minutes. That's 3 laps behind the safety car. They could have done another 3 laps behind the safety car and then carried on. But equally, I've got no major issues with the red flag.
But then why when there was crap all over the road from Vettel's car, did we not have any any safety car, because it would have been a lot quicker than our laps and laps of virtual safety car that we ended up having.
Well, the trouble
and
was,
the virtual safety car doesn't allow you to have enough space to get out there, especially with all the cars all over the road.
Well, I think, I mean, safety car would have bunched it up a lot better. But the problem was, I think the marshals obviously still very new, and the race couldn't have happened without them.
The Bahrain marshals.
No, they had 400 Bahrain marshals in. So basically, what that means is they've got them there training the new marshals. So you've got a Bahraini marshal on each marshal post, but you've still got several other marshals, because they've got so many corners. They've got to have so many marshals to marshal them all. Yeah, and because it's so long, they have to. So it's there were some teething problems there. Plus, obviously, the Bahraini marshals don't know that track, so they don't know.
No one knows that track because it was only built last week.
Yeah. But I think there were some failings in there, in that they should have identified where the debris was, and then they should have cleared that debris during the safety car period and during the VSC as well. Those, because we had 5 virtual safety car periods, and because of that, it's they could have used. There could have been 3, to be honest, because they could have used that time to clear the debris. But they kept more debris kept appearing, or more debris was being noticed, and with 2 red flag periods, there was no reason why they couldn't have at least had a clean start ready, a clean track ready for the third standing start. But it's
just mental, but even after that to be fair, before when we had the first red flag, I mean, fair play on who I thought was Alonso, because I thought it was too good a driving skill to be Ocon. I was like, what's Alonso doing there? And then I made a tip myself, and then realised it was Ocon. Ocon, and no one questioned me on why I was questioning why Alonso was first or second at that point. I mean, fair play on Ocon. I mean, that was some drive from him. And some clean drive, and seeing where the gap was. Weirdly, he took the line that I would have taken on Formula One 2020. I would have, if it was on that. But, I would have taken that line, because that seems the most obvious driving line to take. Instead, everyone went around the outside of that corner to then cut short onto the corner 2, is it? Might be 3.
Well, looking at it, you've got...
I was thinking that you would have gone like the direct line of what she did, which was take on the inside of corner 1. Let's call it corner 1, because I can't remember if it was. I think it was corner 1. And then on the outside of corner 2.
So Ocon didn't stop under the safety car. So as a result, you had, I think he passed Tsunoda. I think, if memory serves, I think Tsunoda did come in. So you got Tsunoda came in, Norris came in.
Norris got screwed.
Gasly didn't. Perez did. Leclerc did. Obviously, Hamilton and Bottas did. So Bottas, Leclerc, Perez, Norris, and Tsunoda, those 5 were all dropped behind Ocon, so that puts him up into 5th place anyway. And then so he...
but 5th to 2nd is quite a good... 4th to 2nd.
Or even 4th place, sorry. And then when Verstappen completely blocks off Hamilton...
Yeah, because they only care about each other and not anyone else.
He gets Gasly and then blocks off... I can't remember where Gasly was. I can't remember if Gasly stopped or not, to be honest, but... Either way,
Gasly didn't have a great drive, I know that much.
Well, he finished 6th in the end, didn't he? I think he was 6th.
Yeah, but it wasn't a great drive from him.
Yeah, it's just. But
he's very much. Yeah, he's a very Mr. Saturday, isn't
he? Yeah, he doesn't tend to do as well. Doesn't tend to do as well on the races. Gasly. I mean, that AlphaTauri doesn't have a lot of race pace anyway. But yeah, the other instance, we got that first one there, and then we got various times where Max just pushed him off. The whole thing, the entire race and the standards during the whole race, and then the comments after as well, and straight away I've got to just Christian Horner coming out, and in a race when we've had. We've got to say we haven't done a podcast since it's happened yet, so we've got to say, rest in peace to Frank. So in a race when we've just recently lost to Frank Williams, and
which everyone put on their cars.
Yeah, everyone is obviously quite sensitive anyway. And then for Horner to come out and say it's times like this that the sport misses Charlie Whiting, and I think that is probably worse than what he said about the marshals last week. It's just such a disgraceful comment. I mean, it's basically, how the hell is Massey supposed to take that? And I'm not Michael Massey's biggest fan. In fact, I'm one of the
Laura is.
Yeah, well, that's only because she thinks he's hot for some weird reason. But he's to come out and say that's absolutely disgraceful. It's like, can you imagine if someone came up to do David Croft and say, "Oh, it's days like this that we miss Murray Walker."
Yeah,
and it's all saying.
And what would have he done? Like, I don't think Michael Massey's doing anything wrong at these points.
I don't think. Bez is on.
Max was amazing and should have won. Hamilton cheated and tried to ram Max. Okay.
How did the GOAT do this week then, Bez? How did Alonso do? Is 13th?
Yeah, well, I thought he was second, but then that was his teammate.
So we're just going to go to Fernando Alonso Sympathy Corner here. Starting 13th, having a pretty poor race in general, and then boxing to try. Did you see? Apparently, he boxed to try and get the fastest lap at the end to take it off Hamilton, just because to be a dick, and then he couldn't do it.
I did wonder as to I was sat there trying to work it out. I was like, there's no advantage of anyone trying to beat Hamilton at the fastest lap here. But I mean, they literally, even with the half points, they literally couldn't have masterminded this any better, could they? To land on and make the whole season pointless.
Yeah,
the whole season has now been.
Well, it's not. It's not pointless because if Max takes Hamilton out, then he's champion.
Alonso was robbed of what? Sorry. Anyway, go on.
Robbed of taking fastest lap from Hamilton.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't actually make any difference. So long as the points are within 3 or 4 points, it doesn't actually matter going into the last race because it's just winner takes all. Yeah. Because they've got the 2 quickest cars. Let's be honest, it's only going to be a Mercedes or Red Bull that's going to win.
Actually doing that, 163.5 or whatever it is.
300 something.
360 something 0.5.
369 and a half.
Yeah, I mean, that's like mad math of trying to work out that. Especially
I do think
DNFs and different things that happen throughout. I just think it's Liberty Gold, and here we are talking about it, and we're back to... And we're talking about it because what else can we talk about with it? But it just seems like we never thought we'd ever feel sorry for Mazepin.
Oh yeah, he didn't do a thing wrong. He almost took out Hamilton in practice, which was completely Hamilton's fault. And to be fair, like a reprimand was a fair thing for that. We've seen people get grid drops for that in the past, but the mitigating factors in that his team didn't let him know where he was. We don't know the tracks. There were no blue flags or anything like that. So I think the reprimand was a fair result there for him because it was very nearly a very serious accident, and it also would have wiped out Hamilton's car and probably put him at the back because he probably would have had to take a new engine. Yeah. And then in the race to just come across that stationary car. There's just, Perez was stopped on track, taking up 3/4 of the track width. So there's just nowhere to go. Mazepin had a choice of either going into the wall or into the back of another car. And, he didn't really have a chance to think about it. So, I
have to disagree with the Laura at the moment. Laura just said the next race will be dangerous. Abu Dhabi is the most dullest track in the world. It won't be dangerous. Whoever wins qualifying will win the race.
Potentially, but there is some changes this year, so that have made it quicker and have made it slightly more interesting. So, we'll get to that when we do it's kind of a little bit of a preview on Abu Dhabi, but we'll carry on reviewing this race for now. But I think there is potential for drama in Abu Dhabi. But it's
I think whoever qualifies will be the winner. I don't think
we'll get to that.
I don't think anyone. I think it's been a bit of a. The thing is, it's so much happened and so many crashes, but it was one of those races where everyone sat around going, "This is going to be bad." Yeah, like it had.
I was genuinely scared for the entire race.
Yeah, it had we should. We like I am, not the biggest F1 fan, if you will. I'm not a like you, Tom. That's a pedigree of an F1 fan, but. And I like the odd crash. I like the odd misdemeanor and things. But Jesus Christ, it just felt mental this time. Like, it just felt like the unsafest track, the unsafest. I mean, it was a crazy, like, it was Baku, but on speed. And Baku's bad enough normally, you know.
Yeah. It's for me the track. Well, yeah, it's a great challenge in qualifying, but it was genuinely scary. And I saw, like, when it started off, we had that nice, calm opening section, and then we got just inside the pit window, and then
I said to Laura, "Oh, this is going to get boring now. We've had the mad."
Yeah. No, literally, my I was watching it with my parents, and my dad said, "Well, this is a boring bloody race, isn't it?" And then literally, as he said that, Schumacher in the barrier. Safety car, red flag, and then it was just crazy from there on.
Should that have been a red flag?
Well, yeah, we've just covered that, haven't we? I think it should have been. It's just frustrating the way it came, but I have no major issue.
It was so long for that red flag. It was so long coming, and I just didn't understand as to and we obviously can't see everything. I'm not saying that, but the Tech Pro barrier looked grand, but supposedly there was some broken one in the middle.
Yeah, so it was punctured, and the car, Schumacher's car was against it, so you couldn't physically see the damage. And they are designed to literally come apart and then slot together. That's how they're designed to do that. But you have to lift them out with a crane. You can't just like move them. It's not like a bit of Lego or something. So.
Well, they are filled with
Schumacher's
water,
in the wall. Schumacher's into the barrier, and then they're. The safety car comes around, they wait till the pack's bunched up, and then when they've got enough time, they send the recovery truck out there, get Schumacher's car out the way, marshals inspect the barrier. Oh, shit, we've got some damage here. We need to remove this barrier piece. Quick, get on the phone to Massey. We've got a damaged barrier. Right, we need to replace it, red flag. So that's why that's gone in that order. So I have no major issue with the red flag. They were trying to allow the race to keep going, but in that scenario with a damaged barrier, especially in a place like that where we've seen several crashes all weekend, that needed to be done. So I've got no major issue with the red flag. It was frustrating that at that point I'm thinking, well, track position's key. They're going to go to the end now, and it's going to be Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, and then that means it just meant that the title decider would have been. With a 15-point lead or whatever it would have been at that point, that would have taken the sting out of it a little bit because, the likelihood of it being Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, fairly unlikely in Abu Dhabi. So that would have just taken the sting out of a little bit for me. So I was glad when it kind of equaled out a little bit. Obviously, the restart, Hamilton getting ahead and then Verstappen just Braziling it and taking it back again, and just the whole thing. What this weekend has proved, I mean, it's proven that Verstappen will do almost anything to win this championship, which means the whole thing about it won't change my life is complete bull. But I think we've seen this year that early on in the season, first half. I wonder
if Verstappen sounds like he's trying to do a Nico. Oh, I'll win it once, and that'll be the end of it, and I'll leave. That's what Nico tries to come across as.
He didn't say that. Nico didn't say that until after he won it. But
that's what it looks like he's trying to do. Yeah, doing Nico and be like, oh yeah, I'll win it. Once I win it, and that'll be the end. No, he'll be there for the long haul. If he's going to try and do it, he's going to try. I mean, I don't know whether this is, pushing Hamilton into not staying, or whether I don't know. He seems to be getting angry. He seems to be getting a very angry man recently.
Well, Hamilton.
Yeah.
I think Hamilton handled himself incredibly well. He got a little bit pushy when he did make the overtake on Verstappen. He pushed him right out to the edge, and they said that was borderline black and white flag material. So that was, that was on the edge. That was, that was as bad as, well, probably not quite as bad as what Verstappen was doing in the race, but it was certainly borderline. And he did that born out of frustration, but you could see after the race he was absolutely exhausted, and that was because he'd been pushed right to the edge and beyond, and Verstappen has brought this out of him. He has brought the best out of Hamilton. But what we've seen this season with Verstappen is up until I'm going to steal something from Sean now. Up until Sean Kelly, that is at Virtual Statman on Twitter. Up until Monza, I can't remember the exact numbers, but Mercedes had topped something like 16% of sessions, like as in Q1, Q2, Q3. And then since Monza, they've topped 87% or 86% of sessions, which is just the speed they found in the second half of the season is, well, not quite the second half of the season, but most of the second half of the season is phenomenal. Red Bull clearly had the quickest car the first half of the season, and I think Mercedes have just tilted it back in their favour in the second half. And what we've seen in the first half of the season, where Verstappen had the quickest car, he had definitely showed he had the maturity to see out results and win races and push and win races. And in the second half of the season, we've seen that unless he has an advantage, Hamilton seems to have the better of him with a better car. So, and then Verstappen's the one that's being flustered. The first half of the season, Hamilton, apart from, you would say, Imola, was the one race where Hamilton has thrown away a good result.
Yeah,
because every other race where it's been, he's been fighting for a result, and he's like Bahrain, he got the result, he got the win. Portimao, he took the strategies to them and won the race. I mean, you could say that in Paul Ricard and Barcelona, Verstappen got the win based on their strategy, and they took the fight to Mercedes. But again, I think they did have the best package in those races. So,
but hang on, you're saying about this with the cars with these two. It'd be interesting to see where the cars are of Perez and Bottas compared to beginning of the season to second of the season. I can't remember exactly every single position those two have been in.
Yeah, Perez and Bottas have both improved as the season's gone on. Perez has improved more than Bottas has improved, because Bottas has
Bottas has a moment of improvement, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Bottas has been in that car for a long time, as Perez has learnt the car, so you would expect Perez, he's got further to go, whereas Bottas already had a level, so you would expect Perez to improve more. But Bottas has done a better job than Perez this year, I think.
I mean, saying that, Perez didn't do that well this race.
I think he was partially to blame. There was no further action in the end, but he was partially to blame for the collision which ended his race. Yeah.
That I don't think but even on the start, he didn't do that great start. He went backwards or tried to block. I don't know whether he tried to block Bottas or someone, and it was someone weird.
He made a great start, and he almost went at the back of Verstappen.
Yeah, that was it.
But then Bottas slotted in ahead of him, because obviously he was second anyway. Because Hamilton and Bottas were clean away in the lead. Perez almost went up the back of Verstappen, and then. But then he just tucked in behind him. But yeah, you got off to a decent start. Verstappen was an average start, to be honest. I mean, even the start where he passed Hamilton and Ocon was an average start, but because he had the medium tyres, his second phase where he got to the adhesion stage of the start, it just bit, and then he just put that car in the hole. I think Hamilton left too much of a gap there, to be honest.
Yeah,
it was.
Although my highlight was Perez just sat on the side of the track waiting for someone to pick him up.
Oh, sorry, just that made me laugh. I've just seen Laura's just tried to trigger me with something. She said Hamilton at Silverstone flustered, sent Max into the wall. So, knowing what we know about how Verstappen races this season now, if we go back and look at that crash again, do we not see Hamilton maybe making the pass, and then Verstappen just keeping his foot in and not worrying, because he's got the runoff, he's not worrying about making the corner, and because Hamilton wasn't exactly at the apex, which he doesn't have to do. You don't have to be at the apex to make a corner, as long as you're going to make the corner and make the edge of the track, which based on his trajectory he was going to do. Do we not look at this again and think, this is similar, although it's on the outside, this is a little bit similar to Brazil in that Hamilton's on the inside, he's not going to let him past, so he's just eased off the brake, and then that's put him then further ahead of Hamilton, which has then led to the contact. I think you look back at this now, and it's actually more evidence in favour of Hamilton when you look at what's happened since. Obviously, the incidents happened. Hamilton was deemed partially to blame. It was a 50-50. It was aggressive from Hamilton. It's the most aggressive he's been all season because he had to. At that point, if he hadn't have got past, he had no chance of winning that race. So he had to try it, and rightly so. Partially more to blame than Verstappen. Got a penalty. Fine. I'm over it, but. Don't go out saying that he took Verstappen out and crashed him into a wall, because he didn't.
The problem is that the only people that Hamilton and Verstappen can battle is each other, because no one else is up there. No one else is anywhere near them. So that's why this is why we have this issue with Perez and with Verstappen and Hamilton, is because there's no one else fighting them, so they have to fight each other, and that's why we do get the aggressive driving from the two, because we're probably seeing the aggressive driving further down, but no one really notices it because it's only them two that are fighting each other.
They have absolutely brought it to a new level this year. Even their teammates in the same machinery can't touch them.
Yeah.
Which is just, they are on a completely new level.
Are they in the same machinery though?
Yeah, they are. They
are. No, like, it's mental. It's completely, like, the two of them are insane. And it's brought it to a thrilling end, which I'm sure we'll hear about 50 times on Sky Sports this week. It's a thrilling end to the season.
Pound in a jar for every time they say duel in the desert.
Duel in the desert. Is that the? I mean,
they will. Yeah, they
which
will.
Which desert are we in this week?
It's UAE, isn't it?
I know, but like, we seem to be in the desert every bloody week at the moment.
Well, yes, that's because money.
Yeah, all at the end here.
Yeah.
And I mean, what will be interesting is seeing this track earlier on in the year. Different weather, different heats, different styles. The track's going to be a bit more slippery, I guess, because of the heat. And
yeah, well, we're back there in 3 months.
Yeah,
we're back there in.
And it only gets hotter in April, May, or March. When's the season start this year? I can't even. Next year, I can't.
It's
remember.
March,
and it's like the second up, isn't it?
It's I can't. I haven't got the calendar in front of me at the moment, but yeah, it's very early on in the season.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be very interesting. What's going to happen with those? I think it's going to be a bit crazy, and I don't know what I think with all the. I think this track. It could be good, but I don't think it ever will be. I think everyone will be. It'll be the Crash Band. It'll be the Mario track. You know, we'll all be smashing each other out of the way. There's no way this track is going to get any better. I can't see how they're going to improve it. And we've got this for another 2 years until they build the other one.
We're not sure yet. We know that Saudi Arabia's got a long-term deal, but we don't know if we're going to be at this track or a different track. But we'll definitely be here next year. And then maybe the year after. But I think they can do something. It's just really, it's not so much the track, it's the blind corners that's the problems. And if they can just do something about that, they can't really do a lot with the runoff, obviously. But if they can just find a way of making it so straightening out a few of the more dangerous kinks. What
was really interesting about this was the guy that designed it, the father and son team.
Yeah.
And just and Jensen Button almost slating the fact that it's time for someone else to come in and design the tracks.
Well, so the people that designed the track are the Tilke company. Herman Tilke is credited with doing the tracks, but I'm pretty sure this track was done by Carsten Tilke, his son.
Yeah.
Interesting. I might have some news about Carsten Tilke, but I probably shouldn't share it just yet. But anyway, I'll tell you later.
Hashtag secrets.
Yeah. Watch this space. And it's. I know that they're kind of taking on a different element of taking on tracks now. They always before it, you saw a lot of the tracks, like some of the early Tilke tracks were really good, like Malaysia, phenomenal track. Bahrain has grown into a very good track, and changing, I think just the change in track conditions by switching to a night race has made it a really good track to race on. And so I don't think it's fair to say that every Tilke track is a waste of space, because it isn't. He's done some very good tracks, and we look at Kota is an awesome track, and I know it's a tribute act. It's got corners from all around the world and everything in there, but they have got some very good tracks on the calendar. They've designed some terrible ones, but there are some good ones.
Who's designing the Miami one?
I'd imagine it's probably Tilke. I don't know, but it is a street circuit. So, and again, they have to work with. If you're giving them a blank sheet of paper, then they will probably design something that's okay. But if you give them, I say that Abu Dhabi, but if you give them a street track, they kind of have to work around what they.
Bahrain was theirs, and that was a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah, Bahrain's good. I've just said Bahrain's a good track.
Yeah.
Malaysia was brilliant, and Malaysia was a phenomenal track to race on. I think China is a Tilkedrome. I could be wrong. Okay. I think China is. China's okay. There's some nice places to pass on China. I like the opening section. Quite similar to Malaysia, to be honest. So I quite like the opening section of the lap, and I like the big long straight into the left-hander at the end as well, or into the hairpin and the left-hander. I quite like that. So basically, Sector 3 and Sector 1 I like. I have no idea about Sector 2.
I mean, although Abu Dhabi isn't a great track for racing, it's designed well. Like the way that hairpin is with that stadium, it's a cool, interesting. It was an interesting idea. It just didn't quite work. Yeah,
I mean, as a venue, it's probably the best. The best Formula One venue on the calendar. Pieces, yeah, it's probably one of the best venues ever for Formula One. But the race is just crap. Yeah. But let's reserve judgment, because I'm quite positive that if the changes they've made work, and that gives Abu Dhabi a bit more flow, and they get 2 decent overtaking opportunities as a result of what they've done, then that brings it up to an average circuit. And that's fine. Because if we've got an average circuit that's conducive to decent racing, you're never going to get a rainstorm like we would get in Brazil to finish the season, which is, if the season ended in Brazil, then you just never know what the weather's going to do. And we just don't know. So we're not going to get that.
Or England.
Yeah, we're never going to get those scenarios for a season decider. But we might just get a decent race if they fix the problems. So I'm going to reserve judgment on Abu Dhabi until we see what happens next week. But I'm interested to see what the changes have done. And I'm interested to see what the changes for Melbourne, Albert Park, have done as well. Because that...
Are we seeing in Melbourne this year, do we think?
I believe so. I think we will. Unless Omicron takes over the world, which I don't think it will.
Oh, yeah, that's the new one, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna get into a COVID podcast, but I don't think Omicron's gonna.
It'd be interesting to see how they cope with the next wave of COVID or next wave of whatever comes our way. But with more races on the track, more tracks to race, and more places to go, I think it'd be interesting. It's so sad that we're talking about the next season more than this season. Because although there's been lots of excitement, I think the problem has been we've ended up with the result we all thought we would end up with.
Yeah.
Which is hard to then explain. Sorry, laughing at Bez the Spaniard. It's hard to talk about this season. And like even this race, it was a busy race, but again, it wasn't any good racing. It was all incidents. And I think we're missing a lot of good racing this year.
That's the problem. This year has seen some phenomenal racing. Yeah. This race, we didn't see an awful lot of racing, which is a shame.
It was all about crash, bang, wallop, and that was it. It wasn't about exciting racing this year or...
Yeah, as I said, in places it has been, but
this week it has been.
Yeah, but
I think that's
this
the problem.
Weekend,
it makes it hard for us to talk about in some ways because, they had a crash, whose fault was it? Oh, they had another crash, whose fault was it? It just seems to be a blame game.
Max. Always Max. In this race, always
or Perez. Max. Or Red Bull, genuinely.
But Isley, the whole Max Verstappen thing about the brake check thing, what's your opinion on what he was trying to do there?
Because no idea what he was trying to do. What was he trying to do?
And why didn't Hamilton overtake him?
Right. I think, in my opinion, what happened is Max got told to let him through, but it took a while for that call to come through to Max, and it didn't go through to Hamilton, full stop. And so Max then slows down, wants to do a Brazil.
Something's happened to your mic, Carl. You've cut out.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
You lose me there. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'll start again or start halfway through. So Hamilton, Max didn't know. Max had a late call to let him through. He was in the right place for the DRS, so he could then, or the corner, or whatever it was, so he could overtake him again and do a Brazil on him. So he slowed down, but he wanted to obviously he didn't want to be on the dirty side of the track. He wanted to be at least have 2 wheels on the track and push Hamilton over to one side so that he could get past and then get back round him, forcing him round. But when Hamilton then didn't pass him, whose fault is that then? Because Max had slowed down. Hamilton had not taken note of passing him. So Hamilton then rammed on the brakes. Max then rammed him harder. Hamilton then went up went to a cross and hit Max. Again, I'm not quite sure it's Max's fault. Max might have jammed on the brakes, granted, but if I go in the back of a car and the car in front smashes his brakes on, it is normally my fault on the normal roads of the law of Ireland, and I'm sure of the UK. So was it Max's fault? Max being a dick, absolutely. Whether the accident and the incident was Max's fault, I can't completely blame him.
That's all well and good if you're on your way to Tesco's to get your local shop, but we're not doing that. We're racing, and you don't have to keep tyres and tarmac in 2 seconds distance. You know, that's not what we're doing.
No, but you need to know the width of your car and not be Alex Albon.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the way I saw it then is there was confusion. Definitely, there was confusion because it was so erratic what Max was doing that Hamilton.
But it doesn't matter what.
No, just hear me out. Just hear me out. It was so erratic what he was doing that Hamilton, in those few seconds that he had, he thought, "Oh, there must be a VSC," because there've been so many VSCs by that point. He thought, "Oh, there must be a VSC or there must be a yellow flag," because why else would he slow down like that? So him to then overtake in that second in his head, he's like, "Oh, well, why is he slowing down?" What and then when he's gone to then go, oh, hang on, there's no yellow flag, I can pass him, and he goes to overtake him, Verstappen then actually brakes harder. And then he's already trying to go around him at that point. And then he's so lucky that Hamilton is so lucky that he had just gone to go around him, because then all he did was take off the front wing end plate. If he'd have hit him bang on into the back, that nose cone would have been toast, and he would have had to make a stop. He would have been 40 seconds back, and unless disqualification for Verstappen, there's no way would he have got back in that race.
But the thing is, I don't understand on Max's side is why he then sped away. Did he think
this is my point.
Did he think that he had been overtaken at that point? So, or what's the rules of that? The thing is, it's hard to classify the rules because it's a weird one. Because I'm sure there's no rule about the car in front slowing down. Yeah. The one going behind goes into the back of him. Does that mean he's overtaken him? So
basically, he was told to let Hamilton by. And this is again why I don't necessarily blame Verstappen for this. I blame the FIA, I blame Red Bull, I blame Christian Horner, those kind of people, because the radio message that came through was, okay, Max, let him through strategically.
Yeah,
that is code basically for let him pass before the DRS.
Yeah.
Take the DRS and then repass him, which is illegal. You can't do that, as proven by Lewis Hamilton in 2008 when he allowed Kimi Raikkonen past because he passed him off track. He let Raikkonen through and then he repassed him into turn one, and because it was a couple of laps from the end, 2 turns later, Kimi Raikkonen spun and retired from the race. Hamilton finished the race, and then they gave him a retrospective 30-second penalty, dropping him back to like 3rd or 4th.
Oh yeah, and what was with Hamilton? What was with Verstappen's 5-second penalty? It made no difference to anything.
It was so I'm just moving the microphone because the cat's in the way, and he's just woken up and decides he wants to get involved.
So Leo, is that Max or Leo?
That's Leo. Yeah, so the retrospective penalty was an absolute joke, and they may as well have done nothing. And I know you shouldn't penalise with looking at the result of what the penalty gives. You should penalise for the incident. So let's look at that incident. It was proven by the stewards, as it said in the statement, that he was wholly or predominantly to blame for causing the collision.
Yeah,
and involving in that decision was also he was steering erratically. He was looking at Hamilton in his mirror so he knew where he was, and then he put on a heavy braking incident in I think would they say it was 2.4 G impact, causing a 2.4 G deceleration, which meant that car 44 had no way of avoiding the collision. He was just very lucky that he'd gone to overtake him at that point.
Yeah,
so the whole thing is Hamilton didn't know that Verstappen was letting him by. It's not a place you would let someone by because it would compromise Hamilton's
And you'd think
position.
that he was breaking down or slowing down.
Yeah, it was a very erratic thing to do. It was a very confusing thing to do. Hamilton misinterpreted the situation, and I'm sure he's kicking himself because if he'd have been if he'd have known that he was going to let him through, then he would have just gone past him in a shot. And then Verstappen, I don't think would have, because of where he was trying to do it and how much he'd decelerated, I don't think he would have got up to speed quick enough to then repass him under DRS.
Yeah.
But and I think it was clumsy from Max. It was really clumsy. But there just seems there's just this little part of me. I don't think that he said, right, I'm now going to make him ram me so he retires. I don't think that was in his mind. No. But I do think that he didn't care if it happened.
I think he would care if it happened if he went out. I think what was more of, because in theory, Hamilton would have had more chance of getting out of that mess than Max. Because hang on, because surely the back end isn't replaceable, but the front end is.
Yeah. So what would have happened there in that scenario is Hamilton's front wing would have been toast. It was right at the start of the lap. He then would have had to drive around with no front wing, and he would have had to get back to the pits. That would have lost him about 20 odd seconds. He would have then had to sit in the pit for 15, 20 seconds whilst they changed the front wing, and then lost the 20 seconds of being in the pit. He's then a minute down. Worst case scenario for Verstappen, because of the angle of the wing and the way they're designed for safety reasons, he's not going to take his rear wing off. All that's going to happen is he's going to lose a load of downforce on his diffuser. It's not going to be a race-ending collision for Verstappen.
Yeah, and it was quite slow as well.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly high speed. So it could have potentially ended Hamilton's race, especially if he tried to avoid him and then end up impacting his wheel on the back of Verstappen. It could have ripped his wheel off. So it could have ended Hamilton's race. It would have been very unlikely to end Verstappen's race. Verstappen could have then carried on, picked up, even if he didn't win, any points from there on are a bonus, plus the fact that he's already got an 8-point lead at this point. So I don't think he was
quite
trying.
A conspiracy theory.
Yeah. I don't think, as I said, I don't think he was trying to take Hamilton out, but given that he was looking in the mirror and he knew where Hamilton was, he knew that he wasn't trying to overtake him. Why didn't he just floor it?
Because then he couldn't floor it. Verstappen could not floor it because he hadn't given the place away.
Yeah, but he still had 3 laps to do it. He did it straight away, like instantly. He didn't have to do it right then, but he tried to do it strategically in a way that disadvantaged Hamilton as much as possible.
The thing is, yes, you're saying that it was done instantly, but we all knew that was coming for a long while. That he had to give that place back.
Not for a long while. It was straight away.
But it was. The thing is, it wasn't as if he'd failed. It was a good lap and 2 laps later that decision was made. Yeah,
from the decision to the incident was very quick.
Yeah, but from the incident to the decision was quite a long time.
Yeah, from the infraction to the decision.
That's it. Yeah,
and then the incident was straight away after.
So I wonder whether Max had been given the call, you're going to have to give that back 2 laps earlier. From the race engineers going, heads up, you're going to have to, and the misunderstanding of that, because it was a bit strange that he would do it suddenly instantly at that point. And the advantage that he had, it wasn't that big an advantage. He did it later on, the exact same move.
Well, the thing
when he did eventually give it back.
What they said on the radio, because Massey told Verstappen or told Red Bull that they had to get him to give the place back, and then he then got on the radio to Mercedes to tell them we're going to tell Max. I'm just going to move this cat again. We're going to tell Max to let him through.
Denied all.
No, so what?
Understanding of that, because then the Mercedes guys go, when you hear Massey then turn around on this FIA radio, Massey turned around and went, well, it's not my fault, you were talking on other channels.
Yeah,
that's what he actually said.
Yeah, I know. So just going through the timeline here, they said to Red Bull, you need to let Hamilton through, and then they went to Mercedes to say he's going to let you through, but while they were on the radio to Mercedes, the incident happened. So Mercedes then hadn't been able to transmit that to Hamilton, because Massey then tried to say, oh, it wasn't my fault if you're on another channel, and then Ron Meadows then comes back and says, no, you were telling me, I heard you tell me, and that's as the incident happened. So we had absolutely no chance to tell him. It wasn't that I was on another channel, it's because we hadn't been informed at that point. And then Massey's response to that was, oh, it's not my fault, I've only got so many buttons in front of me.
Yeah, but hang on, if Massey was to if Massey's saying that Massey must have had a response to that message of let him through. You can go through. Sorry.
Well,
because if had he had the copy that Michael, which would have inevitably come.
Yeah, but the reason he didn't get a response was because they were he was telling them, and then at that moment the incident happened. So at that point, he doesn't care about that. He's dealing with what's going on track. So he's dealing with that.
Sorry, Laura and Bez are dissing your cat.
The cat
is as persistent as Max.
The irony being,
as annoying as Hamilton. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Max. The irony being, my other cat is called Max.
So it must be as annoying as Hamilton then.
Sorry, my other annoying cat. We've
yes.
got my lovely cat Minnie that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. There we go. Anyway, I don't think we're going to agree on this one. I don't think there is an answer. We never know the answers unless someone brings out the FIA timeline and all the radio checks, and no one has any time for that apart from some super geeks.
So me later in the week then.
Yeah. So later in the week you'll know about it, and by that time we'll have moved on to the next race, and we'll all be wondering who the winner was. Yeah. So I don't think there's going to be any answers. I think the FIA needs to have a good hard look at themselves. I don't know what's going on with Michael Massey. He seems to be brought in more drama than anyone else, but I wonder if that's part of the Liberty Media's plan, because look where we've ended up. Not that I'm putting conspiracy on that. We all feel sorry for Mazepin because that was a blind corner, and it was quite funny watching Chico stand around waiting for the taxi.
Yeah. We also feel sorry for Vettel. He was being bullied quite a bit.
When have we ever felt sorry for Vettel being bullied? But yes, that's
Yeah, definitely feel sorry for Vettel being bullied off track as well. And George Russell, obviously, he couldn't do anything about that. He was just an innocent bystander in the Mazepin crash. And yeah. So, I just feel sorry for everyone that had to race.
But it wasn't a good racetrack. Yeah, it wasn't a good racetrack. It was a crash track. They've all got little circles with lines on their heads, I presume, because they're all crash test dummies down there. Yeah. And that's the problem with this race is it's crash bang wallop. It was interesting, but we all feared for their lives. And now I'm getting more into the racing, and I'm guessing Laura is as well. Yes, I feel sorry for Lando as well. Laura, he had a really rubbish time. This isn't about racing. This is about who can survive. It's like bloody Squid Games on the
It's
F1
like
track.
Drive to Survive.
It's like Drive to Survive. Oh yeah, it's literally, that was a Drive to Survive wank fest.
They are going to have a field day with that one.
I don't even know if they were there. It'll probably be at the beginning of the season anyway. So
it'll be the first race.
Yeah,
it'll be in Austria. Everything happened in Austria last year, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we were in Austria. So it was a bit of a Drive to Survive wank fest. It wasn't anything good. Yes, I agree. The wank fests bring people into the racing, but as people get more and more into the racing, they suddenly realise actually we like the hardcore racing and not Crash Bandicoot.
It was not a great race from that perspective. It was not a good race for Formula One. It had drama, and I'm sure it will get clipped and played a lot and will be remembered for years, but it wasn't a great race.
No, there is a difference, and I'm starting to learn that now.
Yeah,
as I finish my first full season watching every single race.
Well, you did last year as well.
Did I watch every single race last season?
Well, I would say you commented on every race. So,
oh no, I didn't. I sort of missed I missed Australia, although we didn't race there, but I did officially miss it.
Well, yeah, everyone missed Australia because it didn't happen.
Well, I didn't watch qualifying. I didn't watch any of the others.
Well, no, nothing happened. There was no on-track action in Australia.
Oh, was there not? Anyway,
no.
Right.
We hadn't even started the podcast at that point. We started the podcast after that.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks after Australia, we started the podcast. So, I've been wanting to do it for about 6 months earlier, but I just never got around to starting it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So maybe I did watch it. Maybe I didn't watch it all with Laura. That was the difference.
Maybe.
This season I've watched it all with my wife, every single race. And ironically, the only race we're going to miss together is the last one.
And I will not be able to watch the last race until the evening.
Oh. Awkward.
So I'm going to have to... So after one of the most enthralling seasons in Formula One history, and I'm going to miss it. So I'm going to try and stay away from the result and watch it about 7 o'clock at night when I get in.
I'll give you a few texts, Tom.
Yeah, I'll be turning my phone off. I won't even be muting it. I will
I'll
be
text
turning
Emily.
it off.
I'll text
She will
Emily.
be. She's in a show. She will be turning her phone off.
I will find somewhere else
No,
getting
there will
through
be
to you.
unless you can like program a carrier pigeon to fly from Ireland and drop a result saying Max Champ. You know, that's the only way you're going to do it. But while we're talking about that, should we talk about firstly the standings and then what we think is going to happen next week, and then we'll wrap things up.
Go on.
So standings, obviously, we've already said 369.5 each. Hamilton and Verstappen. At the moment, Verstappen will win the championship. Based on the number of victories. He is on 9, Hamilton is on 8. There is no mathematical scenario where if Hamilton wins the last race, they can finish level on points. So, as a result, it won't go... the next thing would go to pole positions, I believe. So, it won't go to that. It will either... So basically, if they finish level on points and they're level on race victories, then it goes to pole positions.
How are they going to finish level on points?
Well, they won't.
Unless they're DNFs.
The only way,
DNFs.
The only way they'll finish level on points if they're both DNF, and then Max Verstappen will win because he's won more races. So what I'm saying is, there's no mathematical scenario where if Hamilton wins, they can finish level on points.
Okay.
So because at the moment Hamilton's 1 win behind Verstappen. So that's that scenario. Bottas is on 218 points, dead set for.
Hang on.
place.
There is a mathematical.
Go on.
So what's the question? The mathematical is that
there is no mathematical scenario where Lewis Hamilton can win the race and finish level on points with Verstappen. There isn't. Because winning the race is 25 points, and there's no other way that Verstappen can get 25 points.
Okay, but what happens if they're 10th and 9th and Hamilton gets fast lap?
Well, then Verstappen will still win because he's got more race victories. What I'm saying is there's no scenario where Hamilton can win and they finish level on points. They can finish level on points because they can both not finish. Or, as you say, one can score 1 more point in the race and the other can get fastest lap.
Yeah.
So there is a scenario where they can finish level, and then if that happens, then Verstappen will win.
Okay.
Because he's got more race wins. So Bottas has now got 3rd. I believe he's got it guaranteed now with 218 points. So back to Sergio Perez 190. So that is 28 points. So yes, Valtteri Bottas has got 3rd place. Sergio Perez has got 4th place with 190 points. Charles Leclerc is up to 5th of 158. Lando Norris 154. And
so
then Carlos Sainz 149.5. So there's a very real possibility that Lando Norris could finish 7th. In fact,
which isn't a bad thing. Let's not worry about that. He is the 4th fastest car on that track, and that's exactly where he should be finishing.
It should be, but it'd be nice if he overperformed. But that's where he should finish. Danny Ricciardo 115 points in a bit of no man's land there. Pierre Gasly can still pass him. He's 15 points back. It's unlikely. He needs a podium.
Unlikely.
He needs a podium.
And a DNF from
from Ricciardo. And then we've got Fernando Alonso back in 10th, 77 points, so 23 points off Pierre Gasly. Very unlikely to catch Gasly. Fernando Alonso, gone for him. Esteban Ocon, 5 points back from Alonso now. It would be poetic justice if Esteban Ocon could beat Alonso in the last race. Just saying, Bez.
That'd be hilarious.
And then it's a long way back to Vettel in 12th. In the 6th fastest car, exactly where he should be. And then we've got Vettel 43, Stroll 34. Yuki Tsunoda, way back, 20 points for him in 14th. George Russell 15th with 16. And then we've got Kimi Raikkonen in his final race at the weekend, 10 points. Nicholas Latifi,
no one
7
cares.
Points. And then Antonio Giovinazzi, the last point scorer, with 3 points. His last race as well for Italian Jesus. No one cares about him either. And then we've got Schumacher, Kubica and Mazepin, still 21st in the 20-car championship. He can overtake Kubica. I believe he needs a 15th, and he'll pass Kubica because they've both got 1 14th, and I think Kubica has 1 15th, but Mazepin doesn't have any 15ths. So if he gets a 15th, then they'll be level, but then Mazepin has got more finishes, so he will then move ahead of Kubica. So he needs 15th to take 20th in the championship.
So he's currently below the amount of cars in the championship.
Yeah, and he needs, I think, 11th or 12th. I think he might even need an 11th to go ahead of Mick Schumacher. So
brilliant. That's not going to happen.
No.
So in Constructors, Have Mercedes already got this?
No, they haven't, but they're on 587.5, and then Red Bull are on 559.5. So that is, if my maths is correct, 28 points. So
that's a win and a fourth.
Yeah, so it's doable,
Win
but
and a fifth.
It's unlikely. Ferrari 307.5.
No, hang on. That's that. Yeah, no. Realistically, they do have it, but that would have to make Hamilton drop Hamilton, and they'd have to get a win and a sixth, win and a sixth for Mercedes, and win and a sixth for Red Bull,
and then Mercedes not
Mercedes does not score at all.
Yeah, basically
so
something like that. Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Ferrari 307.5 to McLaren's 269. So what's that? 38.5 points. So again, almost guaranteed. Not quite, but almost guaranteed. They need a 1-2 with Ferrari not finishing. Alpine 149, 29 points over AlphaTauri. Again, that looks pretty nailed on now. Aston Martin 77, that's nailed on. They can't go any higher or lower. They will finish 7th, which I'm a bit annoyed about because I predicted Aston Martin would finish 6th. And everyone said, 6th? They'll be 3rd or 4th. And I was like, no, they'll be 6th. No, they won't. They'll be 3rd or 4th. And they're fucking 7th. Can't believe it. Who'd have thought they'd be even worse than I thought they'd be?
Seemingly.
Yeah. Williams 23 points. They can't go any higher than that. Alfa Romeo can, in theory, pass Williams for 8th place with 13 points, but with 13 points in 22 races, can you see them getting an additional 11 points in one race? No. So they're going to be 9th, and can you see Haas ever scoring a point ever? No. So that's the Constructors.
Why are they even bothered?
So literally, the Constructors is basically decided. There's not really any play. I'm looking down at that list now, and I can't see any positions changing in the Constructors' Championship now.
There's nothing. What about the Ferrari and McLaren?
Ironically, the closest and most realistic chance is probably Red Bull passing Mercedes, and that's very unlikely.
Yeah.
McLaren, almost impossible to pass Ferrari. AlphaTauri, 29. Technically, AlphaTauri to Alpine is the closest with 29 points. In fact, no, it's still Mercedes.
No, it's still
Red Bull.
bigger. No.
Yeah, yeah. So no, it's Mercedes Red Bull is the most likely.
Yeah,
and it's still very unlikely. So then, Abu Dhabi, what's going to happen? Bit of predictions, and then we'll round things off.
A bit of predictions. I mean, so Laura's putting on money on whoever qualifies will not win the race.
Interesting.
And thus not win the championship. So whoever qualifies first, that's what I think she said. And this, I'm just going to have to do a look here.
Yes, I did see that comment. It was basically whoever finishes on pole won't win the race.
Yeah. And so Laura's going to put on the tenner on that. I'd probably go the other way.
I think it's entirely possible because I think Valtteri Bottas might qualify on pole, and there's no way he'll win if Hamilton's behind him.
Can you imagine if Bottas just does this on the way out? Fuck you, lads.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if Hamilton is behind him and Verstappen is behind Hamilton, there's no real reason to let Hamilton through because he's winning the championship anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it depends where Verstappen is. If Verstappen is right up behind Hamilton, then they'll let Hamilton through and use Bottas as a blocker.
Yeah.
But if Verstappen's 3 or 4 seconds back and Hamilton's got it in, Hamilton's in control and Bottas is winning, then they'll let Valtteri win.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they will.
Not a chance.
Why not? Why would they?
Because they're arseholes. We know this, and we don't. And Bottas on the way out. There's no way they're going to allow Bottas to win this race. But
they would still win both championships, and it would be a nice goodbye present for Bottas. They genuinely like Bottas.
Says who?
They do. You can just tell by the way.
No, and
the way that he's behaved since he's been dropped as well, and the way it's all been done very, very, very well. And Bottas even said himself, he was on, I think it was on the Beyond the Grid podcast, and he said that he believes that his entire time at Mercedes, he's been given the same equipment, he's been given equal opportunity to fight, but he himself has not been up to it.
Laura's going to donate. I don't know what she means that. I'll donate it to Cat's charity if I lose. Surely if you win.
So she's putting a tenner on.
Yeah.
But then you lose it twice.
Yeah. I don't quite understand that.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Anyway, I think there's some money going to that Cat's charity.
Do you like this, look?
What's that? It's a cat.
Yeah. It's been made on a 3D printer.
Oh, is this from your Emily's dad?
Yeah, Emily's dad made it on a 3D printer. It's the first thing he made. Not bad. It looks like Leo, doesn't it?
It does look like Leo. That's the most random thing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Random thing of the. I reckon whatever order it's going to be, whoever. Sorry, let's be honest. It's Max or Verstappen. Max or Hamilton. Verstappen or Hamilton. Let's try and use the same sort of initials, names. If it's Verstappen or Hamilton, whichever rises to the forefront of the qualifying will rise to the forefront of the race, whether Bottas is involved or Perez is involved or not.
Yeah, I think qualifying is going to be crucial.
The race is won in qualifying. Whether whoever,
but as I said, I'll reserve judgment on this race until we actually see it, because there is a possibility it actually might be a decent race.
Okay. Will it though? We'll see. It's
We'll
not
see.
the greatest. I still don't understand. Sorry, baby. She's donating it twice. There we go. I don't know whether she's betting against me. Maybe that's it. Maybe she's betting against me.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
There we go.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up for this week then. And we will see you all next week when we know who the champion is. Or will we?
We are the champions.
We might not know, because it might be being decided in sporting tribunals because someone's sent someone into the lake.
Oh, it probably will be. Do you know what will happen? It'll be Hamilton will win, but then would have a 5-second penalty for something, which makes it equal, or some stupid fecking thing like that.
It's very unlikely. Can't see that happening myself. But anyway, we'll see you all next week.
I can with this. Fecking FIA. Right, bye!
Bye!